Hi there, everyone. I really hope everyone had an amazing Christmas and New Year's Eve and Hanukkah and whatever you celebrated the last couple of weeks. This is Camille Harris, owner of Camille Ray Coaching, and today I wanted to talk about what are some really concrete cues when babies are hungry. This is something that comes up every single time I do work with parents that have newborns, just trying to figure it out the first couple months. You know, they give so many cues and you have to figure out what all of them are. Because as we know, babies don't come with a manual, kids don't come with a manual that just tell us what they want. And when they're newborns, they can't talk, they can't communicate to us what their needs are. So here's some that you can look for if you have a newborn. So the first is rooting. So when babies are rooting, it is a response they have to stimulation to cue to them that they're hungry. So an example would be like if there's something on the side of their face, they're going to kind of go towards that and open their mouth and maybe stick their tongue out. So if you're putting your finger here, or if you have a nipple here, or if you have a binky here, they're going to kind of lead their tongue towards it and turn their face towards it. Another way you might see rooting is if you're holding a baby. Take this down a little bit. So the way God and babies were designed, is if you're holding a baby, naturally their head's going to be right here, which is going to be right in front of the nipple of the mom. And so oftentimes it doesn't matter if it's a man, a different female than the biological mother, whatever human is holding that baby, if they're right here and that baby's hungry, they're going to start turning their heads towards that nipple and sticking their tongue out, doing that rooting motion. And so that's another really obvious cue. If you're looking for it, it's obvious that they might be hungry. Another one is if your baby uses a pacifier, if they start really chomping down on that pacifier, like sucking on it really, really hard, that can be another cue that they're hungry. And, you know, newborns are growing so fast. So what I hear a lot of times is if they're bottle feeding, you know, well, they usually just take 4 ounces. I gave them 4 ounces. Why are they still hungry? Because it can happen just like that, where they're going from needing 4 ounces to 6 ounces, or 4 ounces to just 4.5, or 4 ounces to 5 ounces. So if you're noticing every time you're finishing a 4-ounce bottle, for example, or just some of the time that they're still fussy after you've taken the time to feed them the bottle and do some really good burping, because that can cause fussiness as well. They're still fussing, then try to give them another 2 ounces, or start fixing a 6-ounce bottle each time and see how much more they take than the 4 ounces. And then if you're breastfeeding, a lot of times with the newborns, moms will do one side at a time. So if you do one side, you stop, you burp them, typically that's good, because you can't know the ounces specifically that they're getting when they're nursing. If you're stopping and you're burping and you're noticing that they're still kind of fussy, then try switching to the other side. So, and if you've done both sides and they still show signs of hunger, then one way to increase milk production is to just be nursing more frequently, to indicate to your body that you need to be producing more. So, and then just that really making sure that you're going through that checklist. Have you changed their diaper? Have you given them that comfort, holding them, rocking them, soothing them, making sure they're not tired. A lot of babies need help falling asleep, so maybe they're just fussing because they need to be rocked or held to sleep. Checking their temperature, making sure they're not sick. If you've gone through all those checklists, then try feeding them. That's another way to figure out if they're hungry or not, is going through that checklist. So I hope that's helpful. Yeah, it's just something that comes up every single time I work with moms with babies. And thinking back to when I had my first son, I think it would have been really helpful for me to get that information. I kind of figured it out as it went along, but I hope that that reduces some frustration for some moms in the beginning. And then on that note, I want to talk about nipple size real quick, because that's something else that comes up a lot. So for if you are using a bottle, nipple size will typically, it's noted on the box, newborn, size 1, size 2, size 3, and it typically goes up every 3 months. That's what it recommends on the bottle packaging. But here's some signs to know for your child specifically. You don't have to follow that every 3-month guideline. That's just kind of a general guideline. Here's some ways for you to read your baby's cues to know for sure when it's time to change nipple sizes. So when your baby is sucking on a bottle and you're noticing that like they're sucking really, really hard and their cheeks are going in every time they suck, and there might be some frustration, that could be that the nipple size is too small and they're ready for a higher flow. If when they're drinking from the nipple, milk is like pouring down the side of their mouth and you hear them like gulping the milk down, that's an indicator that that nipple size is too big. And so you want to find a really good in between. So a good nipple fit is when the flow does not involve gulping, it's just a natural swallowing. There's nothing coming out the sides of their mouths or down their chin. Their cheeks are not moving in like they're sucking really hard. And they just seem really relaxed in their drinking. You also want to make sure that the bottle is tilted totally upright. I wish I had a bottle. I have one. I should have brought it for the video. Tipped upright enough so that there's as little air as possible getting down where the milk flows into the nipple, so that they're getting as little air as possible into the little tummies. So, and then lastly, every time after you feed a baby, whether it's breastfeeding or bottle feeding, you're going to want to burp them every time. So with babies that tend to have more spit up, it's a good practice to stop and burp every 2 ounces, or if you're nursing, every 6 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes, just stop, pause, give them some good burps, and then reconvene. And they're not going to like that. They might get mad that you stop their feeding, but it will help reduce hopefully some of that spit up and that discomfort in their tummies. So those are the tips I have today on hunger cues and feeding very young newborns. So, you know, working with moms with the little babies is honestly, I would say, my favorite. If I had to, I mean, I love working with all parents with young children, but I have a really strong passion for working with the moms with the babies. It's such a magical and really hard time of life. And even more specifically, I really have a passion for working with moms that have postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression, because it can be such a silent struggle. So I do offer the parenting program for babies. It's a 9-week program. I also offer not a parenting program, but in-home support for mothers that is just 1 session at a time. We discuss together and decide together how many sessions would be helpful for you. And it's really just in-home support, whatever that may look like for moms that are really struggling or just needing some extra help. Because unfortunately in our society today, families are really spread out. People are really busy. There's not the amount of support that new moms have now that they may have in another country or would have had in our country 30 years ago, when our culture and communities looked very different. So that's why I provide that at a much lower cost than the classes. So that's it. That's all I got for today. So just keep in mind, right now we have enrollment open for the remote toddler and preschool school age program that's going to be starting in February. This is super exciting because it's all online based, so you can access it from home. It's cheaper than the in-person classes. So if cost has been a barrier for you, then this is a cheaper option with payment plans available. So Have a great day. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to do videos on, and if you have any tips you want to share for new moms. If there's something you really wish a new mom knew, leave that comment down below. If you have other things you know worked for your babies, for feedings, burpings, things like that, then please share, because everyone can benefit. So that's it. Bye.